And welcome to the latest episode of the Racing Podblast with me, Tony Mack, and Ben Aiken from Narrowing the Field. And we've put the world to rights just before we started pressing recordings. Just as well we press record when we do, slagging loads of people off, loads of football teams off, and if your ears are burning right now, it's probably me and Ben. We're off to Ascot this week for their Saturday card with 3 races covered from Champions Day, with 2 of the Group 1s coming under focus, as well as the belting 20-runner Balmoral Handicap right at the end of the card. And then we take our usual spin up to Scotland for our football trixie, top, middle and bottom. I'll give up. Racing first, though, and Ascot we go with the Champion Sprint Stakes, the first of our 3 races under analysis this week. Ben, welcome along, mate, and can you start us off with that one?
I don't know why you're so down in top, middle and bottom, mate. That's
because I'm about 200 quid down or something at the minute.
Great fun.
Last week. Of course it is.
Anyway, we'll come to that. Racing, Champion Sprint Stakes, Group 1, 20 runner, 6 furlong straight track sprint. So worth taking a look at the draw and pace angles. My pace looks potentially housed in the middle or low stalls. Stalls 2, 5, 12 and 13 look to hold the main pace horses. Stall 15 is a potential pace angle as well. Depends on how the field splits ultimately. And those drawn in the top quarter of the draw, they'll have to hope that at least one of the pace horses heads their way to give them something to aim for. On the draw track bias front, there's been an advantage to be drawn low to middle in this race when the ground has been soft or heavy. But at the very least, it's been tricky for those drawn in the top quarter of the draw. Not 100%, that's how it will play out this year, but I do think there's at least the potential for this renewal to be favouring those middle or low, drawn middle or low, based on the likely pace horses and what we've seen in previous soft heavy renewals of the race. As for the short list this year, I landed on the following: Montasib, Unequal Love, Millstream, James's Delight and Anaf. Montasib, he's stepped on massively this season. He's won 3 of his 4 starts, bagging his first Group 1 in the Sprint Cup last time out. A 0 from 4 0 places at Ascot, but they've all been over 7 furlongs or a mile, and I don't think the track will prove an issue for him. Now he's over 6 furlongs. I think he should go well on the ground. He has handled this sort of ground previously okay, so I think Montasib, I think I can see his chances in this. Unequal Love, she finished a close third behind Montasib in the Sprint Cup last time out. So another has been in fine form this season. She won the Wokingham over course and distance in the summer. Her 2 runs since then have shown she can hold her own in group company. Ground would be a small concern for Unequal Love. She might just be at her prime on quicker ground, but she could get involved here, providing the ground doesn't cut up worse than soft. Millstream, he had a wind up after finishing 8th in this last year. That definitely seems to have kicked him on plenty. 2 wins in 2 places from 5 starts this season, all in group company. One of his wins coming in the July Cup in the summer, Group 1. He didn't quite fire when favourite for a Group 1 in France last time out, but that was over 6.5 furlongs. And I think that extra half furlong just pushed his stamina reserves past their limits. I'm happy to forgive him that effort. He's not done much racing on testing ground, but he's won a Group 3 in a listed contest on soft and very soft ground in France. So I think Millstream should handle this ground well enough, and he's another that's worthy of consideration. James's Delight, he ran a clear best last time out when finishing a close second in a Group 3 in France. These conditions will be ideal for James's Delight. Over 6 furlongs on good to soft or softer. He has 4 wins and 2 places from 6 starts, so he gets his prime conditions to shoot for here. His first crack at a Group 1. Ryan Moore back on board is also a big positive. He's got some strong stats when teaming up with Clive Cox in Class 1, 2 and 3 races on horses that have at least 2 previous starts in the current season. Since 2010, the figures read 9 wins from 14 qualifiers, 64% strike rate and over 35 points profit. Ryan Moore, he's also previously ridden James's Delight to victory, so good to see him back on for this. I think that's a big positive for the horse. And Anaf is the other on my shortlist. He won the Ben Goff Stakes over course and distance last year. Also finished third in the Group 1 King Stan Stakes last summer. Prior to winning the Ben Goff Stakes, he took the Portland Handicap at Doncaster off a mark of 106 on soft ground. So track, trip and ground are all a positive for Anaf here. He's also a horse that shows his absolute best form at the start of the year and the end of the year. He's 0 from 13 in the April to August period compared to 8 from 15 out with those months. So Anaf is in his prime months just now. I think it's a fairly wide open race, so I'm going to take an each way swing at 2 that are available at lofty sort of prices. James's Delight and Anaf both look to have plenty in their favour here. Hopefully get involved at the business end of this Group 1. So James's Delight and Anaf for me, Tony. What you got?
Yeah, I like Anaf, mate. Course and distance winner, big price as well. Va Fortino is also on my short list, but looks a bit big at 66 to 1. He's got form on good to soft ground, Va Fortino, but we won't be looking at this. I've got 3 here to look at. I'm agreeing with you with Unequal Love. Ground shouldn't be a problem. Won on soft ground at Ripon in July last year and only beaten 1 3/4 lengths at Newmarket 12 months ago when 4th of 12 runners on soft ground. And each way around 10 to 1 for the Unequal Love. Course and distance winner, as I said, William Haggis, Tom Marquand in the saddle. Kind of Blue as well for me. Ground a worry, but is related to soft ground winners Blue Storm, On Point and the very highly rated Big Evs. So Kind of Blue is related to Big Ebs, who they go on soft ground. Consistent this season without winning, beaten just ahead in the Group 1 Sprint Cup at Haydock last month by Montasib, wasn't far behind Montasib, and he's in each way shot at around 14 to 1. And Elite Status, I'll give that a shout, and I'll be playing these 3 as well, different stakes. Obviously, 1 on soft ground, Elite Status for trainer Carl Burke. Clifford Lee in the saddle, have had a hell of a year. 1 on soft ground in May last year, beating 5 rivals, 3 lengths at Doncaster. Strong traveller is Elite Status, and he'll need to be as well in these conditions, and he's around 16 to 1. Elite Status for me in the sprint with Kind of Blue and Unequal Love. Moving on, next race we have, Ben, is the big one, the Champion Stakes at 3:55, Group 1 over 1 mile, 2 furlongs. Ben, your thoughts on the Champion Stakes?
Yeah, Champion Stakes, a couple of quick race trends for this Group 1 race first. All of the last 13 winners, so since they moved the meeting to Ascot, all of the last 13 met the following. It had an official rating of 117 or higher, and had previously finished first or second in a Group 1 race. If 5 fit those trends this year: Calandagan, Economics, Los Angeles, Edicine and Nashua. Calandagan and Economics dominate the betting for this. Both horses floating around the 6 to 4, 13 to 8 sort of mark. I get that. It will obviously be no massive surprise to see one of them land this Group 1. But I've no real interest in trying to pick one over the other at the odds. I don't really have a strong opinion on one over the other. Ultimately, the bookies are not taking any chances with either of them, and I'm happy to leave them alone at the odds. If they run how expected, they'll likely finish first and second, leaving only one other place to fill. But there are a few sitting at some pretty lofty prices, and I'm happy enough to take a swing at one of them. And that one is Royal Rhyme. Only just falls down on the rating trend I mentioned earlier. He's rated 116. I had that trend. The previous winners were all rated 117 plus, so he's just the £1 below the cutoff. Royal Rhyme has been running in plenty of the big races this summer since winning the Brigadier Gerard Stakes at Sandown on seasonal debut. Although he's failed to place on any of his 4 starts since that win, he's not had his ground on any of those 4 starts. And the runs are probably plenty better than the bare form suggests. His last 4 runs have all been at Group 1 or Group 2 level and on good or good to firm ground. And that sort of quick ground, it's never going to see him perform to his best. On good or quicker ground or your weather, He's 0 wins and 1 place from 7 starts. On good to softer, he's 5 wins from 6 starts. So he gets his ground here for the first time since that win at Sandown on seasonal debut. He did fail to fire in this race last year on soft ground. He finished 5th of 8. That was his first try above listed level that day, and he maybe just found things happening a bit too quickly for him. He comes into the race this year with plenty more experience of group level under his belt. I think he looks a fair bit overpriced at 50 to 1 in some books. I actually thought 33 to 1 looked big enough, so 50 to 1 looks huge to me. And if one or both of the front pair in the market underperform or struggle on the ground, then hopefully Royal Rhyme will be there to pick up the pieces on his favoured ground. So Royal Rhyme each way 50 to 1 for me in the Champion Stakes. Tony,
wonderful.
What you got?
Wonderful. What a great assessment as well. Brilliant. Royal Rhyme. Fantastic. I've got a 50 to 1 shot as well, and you mentioned it as well. But Calandagan, 125 rated against Economics at 123. Calandagan solid gelding by Gleneagles, top form in France on heavy and very soft ground. 1 length behind City of Troy in the Group 1 Judmont when we last saw him. And he'll be staying in training because he's already a gelding, bless him. So he'll be staying in training next year, no doubt, and we'll see him for years to come as well, Calandagan. Economics, I've been trying to get him beat. He's 4 from 4 this season. I've tried to get him beat every time. It's no different tomorrow. I've got loads of respect. Keeps proving me wrong. I never thought he would win the Champion Stakes, not against Auguste Rodin and the rest in there as well. Los Angeles, of course, he beat. And Los Angeles as well is on the short list, but I will be steering away from Los Angeles tomorrow. I'll be a win bet on Calandagan and each way on Nashwa for John and Thady Gosden and Holly Doyle. Obviously needs those at the top of the market to falter, but the Frankel mare deserves to be less than 50 to 1. She really does deserve absolute horrendous year. Fair play. She's had a terrible year, but she was last seen, she came back out after a long layoff. Finishing 5th of 6, beating 6 lengths in the Sun Chariot Stakes, the Group 1 at Newmarket at the start of the month. I just think she's a little bit too big at 50 to 1. That's Nashwa for me in that race tomorrow. And moving on to the Balmoral Handicap. Love this race. Balmoral Handicap at 4:35, Class 2 Handicap over 1 mile. Ben, your thoughts on the Balmoral?
Yeah, cracking big field handicap to finish the card off with. Exactly the type of race we love getting stuck into. I'm looking at a short list for the Balmoral handicap of Beau Pedro, Fui Mi Son, Mexicali Rose, Mr. Professor, and State Actor. The Beau Pedro is definitely the one that interests me the most in this race. He made my handicap sleeper notes on the free NTF blog after his last run, a 3rd in the Challenge Cup over course and distance at the start of the month. He would likely have finished closer that day, but for meeting closing doors at vital stages of the race. But it was yet another solid effort from the horse this season, and I earmarked him for this race straight off the back of that run. He ran 4th in this last year of a £6 higher mark, so he's handicapped to run another big race, and he gets his prime conditions to shoot for again. A mark of 98 or less, 7 furlong to 1 mile handicaps on a straight or right-handed track and soft or quicker ground, where he is 6 wins and 4 places from 14 starts. That's all 6 of his career wins. It's also worth noting that his trainer, David O'Mara, has won this race 3 times previously. All 3 of those winners warmed up in the Challenge Cup race Beau Pedro finished 3rd in a couple of weeks ago. So it's very likely this race has been the target for Beau Pedro. And he's definitely one I want to be playing in this. Of the others on my shortlist, Mexicali Rose also interests me. The filly has been posting some solid efforts for Joseph O'Brien over in Ireland this season, and she has some strong form under today's conditions. Good to softer, Class 2 level or below, and not seasonal debut, where she is 2 wins, 2 seconds, and a 3rd from 5 starts. She's also a win and 3 places from her 4 starts on a straight track, and has plenty of solid form in big fields. So I also want Mexicali Rose on my side. And at bigger prices, Lincoln winner Mr. Professor is also catching my eye. 3 of his 4 turf wins have come on soft ground, and he holds a strong form line in the September to October period at listed level and below, over trips of 1 mile to 1 mile 1. He's 4 wins and 1 place from 8 starts under those conditions. He's not been seen since running at Royal Ascot in the summer, but that's not a concern as he won the Lincoln of a similar break. So we know he can go well after lengthy breaks. And Mr. Professor is the other I like from my shortlist. Bo Pedro, he's the one I've had my eye on for this for a while, so he's an easy play for me in this, Bo Pedro. But I also want to play Mexicali Rose and Mr. Professor, both available at 20 to 1 or bigger. So 3 for me here: Bo Pedro, Mexicali Rose, and Mr. Professor. Tony, what you got for the Balmoral handicap?
I've just got one, mate. Just got one, believe it or not. But I love that Bo Pedro assessment there. Good stuff. Because I was looking at, and I've just lost it, just bear with me a second, Thunder Run for Clipper Logistics. Carl Burke has got Ryan Moore on for Clipper Logistics. Now, Danny Tudhope is sticking with Bo Pedro tomorrow. There you go. See what I don't know what's gone on there, but obviously he's tied to Danny Tudhope is tied to Clipper Logistics, and but Ryan Moore rides Thunder Run tomorrow, while Danny Tudhope rides Bo Pedro. Interesting one there. It'd be interesting to see whether Kirat gets in for me in first-time cheap pieces. He's on number 21 at the moment. He's waiting for a non-runner. But I'll be playing tomorrow Star of Orion for Eve Johnson-Horton, Charles Bishop in the saddle, massive at 33 to 1 with Coral and Ladbrokes at the minute. Third of 12 this time last year at York on soft ground in the Autumn Mile, and third of 9 on soft at Sandown. And certainly not disgraced at Ascot earlier this month on soft in the Challenge Cup over 7 furlongs. He finished 7th of 8, but he was beaten 5.5 lengths with Volterra winning that race. I just think Star of Orion's too big at 33 to 1, and I think he can go well as well. And fingers crossed for Bo Pedro. I'll be playing Bo Pedro now as well. Now we've sorted the Danny Tudhope Clipper Logistics thing out. All right, it is top, middle and bottom. Brilliant.
The great thing about loving football is you cannot explain why you love it. It just happens. Chasing a ball round a park, wanting one team to win against the other.
El Mahoney, right foot, whips it. Oh, jeez, he peeps, man.
Jackpot for Ben last week. Well done, mate. Into the plus. You've got a lovely big plus there, plus sign.
At last. One of us got the Trixie. No winners last week, Tony, for you. -4 at total. The celebrations for me, as you say, I landed the full Trixie.
Boom.
A return of plus 35.87.
Holy moly.
Brian Graham getting the equaliser at Partick Thistle to land the Trixie for me. So current totals are me plus 15.49. One of us is in the plus at last.
Yes.
Tony minus 26.77, but it only takes one result to turn it around. We know that. And this week, my top, middle and bottom is top Morton to beat Dunfermline at 2 to 1. Morton starting to pull together some solid results now. It's taken a while for their new signings over the summer to gel, but they're starting to get the results on the board, and I think they can take care of Dunfermline here. So Morton in the top. Middle, Arbroath to beat Dumbarton at evens. Arbroath have finally started to pick up after a sticky start to the campaign. Their new management team looked to have them back rolling again. I think probably back in the title race as well. Dumbarton very much going the other way. They're really starting to struggle after being promoted last season. No wins in their last 8. They've lost 4 of their last 5, and I think Arbroath look good to pile the misery on dodgy Dumbarton here. Arbroath in the middle. Dodgy Dumbarton. Bottom, the Spartans to beat Elgin City at 6 to 5. Elgin are one of only 4 teams in Scotland to still hold an unbeaten record in the league. but that will surely go soon. Surely. And hopefully it'll be here against Spartans, who need to bounce back from a poor result against Edinburgh last week. In their defence, it went to pot after they went down to 10 men in the second half. Hopefully they can bounce back with a win here against Elgin. My top, middle and bottom: top, Morton to beat Dunfermline; middle, Arbroath to beat Dumbarton; and bottom, the Spartans to beat Elgin City. Tony, what you got?
Well, typical me, I've gone against you on two of them. Dunfermline 27-20 to beat Morton. Dunfermline there at home. Kelty Hearts at home to Montrose 19-20, and Elgin away at Spartans 21-20. So Dunfermline, Kelty Hearts, and Elgin away at Spartans there to I'll just stick with Ben, everyone. Just stick with Ben.
I don't know.
Many thanks for listening to the latest edition of the Racing Podblast. Very best luck with your bets at Ascot on Champions Day. Have a great weekend, everyone. Cheers, Ben.
Just on it.
Thank you for everyone. Thank you for everyone for listening and your support over the weeks. Thank you.